let's talk about Alex Garland's new film, co-directed by Ray Mendoza. Those trailers that always say, like, from the Oscar-nominated filmmaker, from the Emmy Award-winning actress. This is from Navy SEAL Ray Mendoza. But the two of them have collaborated on this new film, Warfare. They previously worked together on Civil War, where Ray Mendoza was integral in choreographing the sequences, particularly the ending sequence raid on the White House from Civil War. Here they are making a film that's based basically on Ray Mendoza's memories of his time in combat. The film is about a platoon of Navy SEALs who are on a surveillance mission that suddenly goes wrong as enemies move in on them. It is really boots on the ground. It is pretty minimalistic in its attempts to bring vast characterization or like big dramatic arcs to these guys. This is just pretty much like a fly on the wall combat gone wrong war movie from the guy who has brought us some of the bleakest movies of the past decade, Alex Garland. Art, you are our big Garland guy here on the podcast. I know you are really excited to see this one. He's playing in a similar mode to Civil War, which we were all fans of. What did you make of Warfare?
I don't see where it's propaganda, but I understand why this pushes buttons. And I'm surprised that it's pushed less than Civil War, you know?
I'm not actually anymore. Well,
you've seen the opposite? I feel like a lot of people after this one have eased up on
once
Civil.
This movie came out, I'm not surprised that the pushback on Civil War was higher. I think before this movie came out, the pushback on Warfare was bigger than Civil War. Because everyone was all like, are we red, white, and blue washing the Iraq War suddenly again? Are we going back on that? Like, and then it came out, and people were still more mad at Civil War. But I think now Civil War is settled again, and people are like, something actually.
Yeah, exactly. Because one of the big ones I saw was they were calling out DeFaro for it. They're like, really, you who's made these projects and done all these things?
So that's why you got to trust it.
Yeah, Twitter user 456. Maybe he still cut it down and you don't. Because like you're mentioning, they all came before the movie was out. What are we doing here? Like that's what Civil War was talking about. Speaking before you got the facts. Look.
Yeah, like didn't Garland have the quote that was just kind of like, if you watch this movie and want to go to war, there's something wrong with you? Like, it's putting that out there right there, that it's like showing why this is a thing, again, like Civil War, why this is a thing we should not ever want to do again. And then constantly, every day, we keep knocking on that damn door.
Yeah, it's very, because that's what I was telling Zach, that I've seen people call this propaganda, but propaganda, I get it in Top Gun where you want to sign up. What scene? Ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, yeah. Propaganda where you're shoving people out the door to go before you? Like, what?
I don't see where this is propaganda. And before we get even further, we got to do the conversation piece that everybody has, which is, do y'all believe in this idea that you cannot have, there's no such thing as an anti-war film? Because if you include war, you're promoting war. Are we children?
I think that's like that's the thing. I think it is a really rigid analysis. Like, I understand the sentiment behind it, because there almost
we're willing
is,
to hear it. Yeah,
like, by acknowledging that war exists, you acknowledge that it is a legitimate thing or something like that. But I don't know if that's necessarily true of films like this that are so harrowing. I do think there is an element that, you know, everybody brings their own experience to everything, and not everybody is going to even view a film that I view as pretty explicitly anti-war.
Yeah,
I don't think everybody's going to view it that way, partially because they don't necessarily like say a lot of it, right? It is so minimal in what they're actually saying to you as an audience. I do think it'd be hard to watch this and not just be not just be affected by how harrowing and ultimately like fruitless this whole endeavor is.
But I have an opposite point. There's a lot of people out there that are very lost individuals, and they watch this, they see the brotherhood, they see the camaraderie, they're not thinking of themselves as the person who just got blown up by the IED. They're seeing themselves as the person who's getting that person out of there, who's holding it down, who's pulling it back together. That even once it's ending and you get back home, you have that camaraderie of all those people, because unfortunately this does end with a montage showing the people that survived and like them going through these fun little training exercises and playing war. which is
And that's
something
the
a
one
movie we
bit-
saw this year called Atropria kind of deals with, this idea of playing war. I don't
Very
think
good movie.
it's an endorsement, but I can see how, like, the way, I don't know, with movies and anything like this, it's like everybody's going to come in with their own preconceived biases and notions, and they're going to take out of it what they want. So you can walk into this movie and be like, wow, this is horrible, the Americans are war criminals. Or you can walk in and be like, damn, we had it rough. Like, well, look at
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
But I also don't think any of that is Ray Mendoza or
I
Alex
agree.
Garland's
Garland-
fault.
I agree.
Right? Those are
Totally
people.
agree.
It's
Totally
like the
agree.
Fight Club thing. Are we not going to do Fight
Yeah.
Club? Oh, you made it too realistic. So you want a
Yeah.
crappy version of the movie that doesn't entice you? Right? We're just talking
Yeah.
about Sinners. It's an enticing deal with the devil.
Seeing it again now with fucking American Psycho. People, like, for whatever reason, you have all these people that are just, oh, he has a really cool
That's
morning
what I'm
routine.
saying.
I want to be him.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to be the guy who's freaking out over a business card?
Yeah. So
What?
It's it's that bit
Once
where it's
it's
like we're
out
not gonna.
there, people are
Sadly,
going to do with it what they're
yeah.
going to do with it. And then
People
it's
do
like
with it.
your job to work through it. And if you feel that passionately about it, do what we're doing and run your mouth on the internet. You know, like
Like Amanda
Right.
said, I don't see people getting shoved out, missing limbs as a
that's
bit
what
to
I mean.
go.
It's like literally
where
being
do
like,
I
wait,
sign
wait.
up?
Let the interpreters go first. The people that
Yeah.
are helping us, the people that are helping us as Americans who
That
could not
was
find our asses
crazy.
in this country, send them first.
The family, how they're dealing with the family,
family.
the final shots of that family. There is,
Yes.
Yeah.
bro. Do people need things spelled out?
Yes.
Do we need a downhill version of the movie when
Yes.
they are doing things without getting into too many spoilers here? They show protocols being broken, and I can't
Yep.
think of anything else more apparent than them telling you our country left us here.
Yeah. Literally, they had
You're not-
to
you
lie
are not
to
paying
get
attention to the movie.
assistance. Yeah.
It's what they wanted for Civil
You were
War.
worried
Every
about your big
critique.
tank that can handle this
Yeah.
because, like, the last one had
Because
a
the
little bit of a
logistics are
failure.
what
Like,
unbelievable stuff. It is straight up grilling America. At the
Yeah.
end, when it calls out the idea of who it's shouting out, people just straight up lie like they did for Civil War. Zach and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
Lying about what the flags were in Civil War to hate it. And people lying about what the last line is, which isn't shout out the people we killed, shout out the people I served with. And I know some people can't detach that. I mean, we
Yeah.
deal now, right, with the political spectrum. You can have family members that go a different way. You need to kill them. Ain't no talking to them anymore. These people did build a brothership, like you're saying, that's so strong. Some people can conflate it into being pro-military.
yeah.
But those are broken people. Like, those are
That's what
people
I
we
mean.
need to help out more than this trying to be truthful. I will say
Yeah.
this as I pull up Alex Garland here. Zach mentioned the memory bit. It's the same thing he did with Annihilation, not wanting to reread the
Yeah.
book, but to go off memory.
Which is good because that was a
Yeah.
better choice. That was a better choice.
That too with the book, yeah.
Yeah. Not that the book's bad. I'm just saying for a movie, it worked better the way he did it.
Yeah. And I liked what he went for there. And I think the same thing with Warfare, because you had mentioned the end credits. I heard him say they're not end credits. That's the ending scene. And that kind of made me rethink it a bit. That montage
Okay.
isn't a like epilogue as much as it is the final wrap up of it was these people's memories.
Well, I definitely have never seen a, like, these are the people all these characters are based on with as many blurred faces as that
Because
one.
they're still active. A lot of them are still active duty. A lot
Right.
of them
That
have
was
potentially
crazy.
committed what would be considered a war crime and don't want to be
Yeah.
implicated. Like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
reasons why some of those people wouldn't want to
Yeah.
have their faces shown or known, and some of them are probably just still really high ranking in the military.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
said, I'm gonna be a hypocrite here because my boy was sexy. He came and got that job done.
That's
Bro,
what I mean.
he
He's
came
the
and
one
got
who
that
comes
job
in and
done.
holds shit down. He's the one who comes in and he's holding shit down, and suddenly it's like, I could do this.
Yeah, we should talk about the cast a bit because it is, I think, one of the things that this movie will probably become known for is it's one of those films that's just an excellent collection of so many people, or like young actors on the precipice of fame, right? Art, you always like to bring up the Stanford Prison Experiment.
Yes, I do.
I like to mention Short Term 12.
Yep.
Just talking
Great
about
one.
military movies. I thought a lot about Black Hawk Down, which is another movie that
Ooh, yeah.
has a collection of young male actors right before they all became gigantic stars.
Damn.
And here, yeah, from top to bottom, you guys were just talking about
Crazy.
our guy from May December, Charles Melton, who comes through and just like instantly draws your attention. Like in a movie full of wannabe movie stars, he definitely
Yeah.
holds the screen
Yes.
and captures your attention when he's on
Yeah.
it. But But yeah, Defara Woon-A-Tai, who you were mentioning earlier,
good.
Cosmo
When?
Jarvis, Will Poulter,
Kit
Joseph
Connor?
Quinn,
Noah.
Kit Connor,
No, that's me.
Michael
Noah Centineo is in this,
Gandolfini.
and I did not see him because I kept looking for him, and I keep seeing pictures that he's supposed to be a guy with a
Wow.
mustache, and I don't remember him in the
They
movie.
all have
What?
shaved heads too, which made it pretty hard for me to figure
yeah,
out
but
who was who.
everyone
Gotta be honest.
else I figured out, and he was the only one by the end of the movie. I saw his name pop up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, he's where the fuck
Yeah.
is he?"
Hey, for the record, just real talk. I'm Tommy, bro. I'm Kit Connor's
I was gonna
character
say Kit
for
Connor
sure.
did great. Kit Connor did great.
Go
in
get the
this.
bag. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. I just
I'm
love
Kit
his
Connor
like, "How
for
you doing?
sure.
How you doing, buddy? How you doing, boss?" New guy.
Shout out.
You know who?
Gandolfini Jr.
You know
Yeah.
who was the real standout to me? Like aside from
Gandolfini was
Will
great.
Poulter, who I feel like at this point we're starting to take for granted because he just shows
So
up and kills
good.
every role. He's on a huge run.
Yeah.
The one who really took my attention was Cosmo Jarvis, who maybe we know from Shogun.
Yeah.
Hell
But
yeah.
I
As
am not
Elliot.
super familiar with him. And as one of the people who gets injured early on in this movie, I just found him to be so compelling.
Yeah, he was great.
He plays such a character and really
What a rough
I think,
month for him at the movies.
distinguish himself.
What a mixed month for him. Alto Nights.
Yeah,
and
look at
then
that. Alto
Warfare.
Nights. Yeah, let me pull that up
And
right
then
there.
Warfare.
Alto Nights. I don't think it was
The
on inside, but
Warfare.
hey, Shogun makes up for it.
Shogun, yeah.
Shogun makes up for it.
Any other standouts in the cast for you guys?
Joseph Quinn. Joseph Quinn has a yell in this movie. That should
Holy
tell
fuck.
everybody this.
That's
this
the
ain't
one that should,
propaganda,
that
bruh.
moment it should really be when everyone's like, war is bad. I don't
I
want
will
to do
not.
this.
I won't
They
be joining.
We shouldn't have been there. What was happening? You shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, no, they were all
Yeah.
pretty good. I like the way that it's shot. There's a particular shot at the end where they kind of make the setting that they're in because we can kind of discuss this as a battle film
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah,
a little
it's-
bit,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much all one house for the most part.
It's mostly
Yeah.
one location.
Yeah,
and,
other than,
and
like,
almost
getting
in
there.
real time.
yeah. Almost. in
So
real
I'll just
time.
say the way that they shoot the location, especially towards the end, I thought was an interesting way. There is a shot in particular where people come out of houses, and I thought that was a stunning shot. Showcasing how pointless all of it is, showcasing how it does nothing, and I thought really drove the movie home. And I think we cover a podcast where if other people don't get it, that's completely fine. We do explainers, we do breakdowns, we do all that. I would
Yeah.
rather explain the movie to you than to get a crappy version of the movie because you couldn't understand it. And
It's true.
Warfare, like with Civil War, I think are both movies that are clearly telling you things, but they're not holding your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both effective, and I never want to see Warfare again.
I gotta find Noah. I gotta find him.
I gotta find
figure out where he
Noah.
I gotta find Noah.
No,
Just talking a bit
bro.
more about the movie, it is interesting how scaled back it is, especially in comparison to other action movies or war films. They don't really waste a lot of time trying to establish the characters and their dynamics with each other, trying to create heroic arcs or heroes' journeys for our main characters to go on. They don't really have much in terms of like interpersonal dynamics in this movie. It really
Yeah.
is just kind of like a process movie. It shows them all at work, right? And them doing their jobs. And in some ways that could be distancing. Like you don't really have a good relationship with any of these characters. You're not like truly invested in making sure Tommy gets through to the end or something like that.
I was my little baby.
For other reasons,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. Not because of the movie.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I think it sort of like skews you away from going towards melodrama and trying to force storylines, especially given that this is such a like fraught version of conflict that it might
Yeah.
feel like inorganic to also do like 3-act structure at the same time.
I see that,
Personally,
yeah.
I felt like it maybe like lost me a little bit at points because you're sort of lost in all the different like shaved heads and white guys and urgency going on, and I wasn't sure like what to necessarily latch onto other than like they got to get out of that place. That seems really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I do feel the effectiveness of portraying the film that way. Amanda, I wonder how you found that stylistic choice to be in Warfare.
I liked it because I think they really do enough to make you like invested in the people, even if you can't fully distinguish them. I feel like they do give enough time on every person that you can, like, after the first little bit of being like, oh my God, that's a lot of shaved heads and helmets to kind of catch on to who's who. Like, literally we're talking and the only person I can't clock is Noah Centineo. I just know he has a mustache, but he wasn't the guy. It wasn't Elliot. It was someone else with a mustache. I don't know. I think it's kind of part of the whole idea of they're literally just kind of showing a memory. They're not trying to romanticize anything. They're not trying to make it some kind of like harrowing, like Saving Private Ryan type journey, or even like a 1917 type thing where you're watching this like one person desperately like kind of trudging through everything going on, or even like a Dunkirk, which is also something that you don't really get a lot of time to care about. People is still giving you a little bit, kind of approaching it in a different way. This kind of feels both like separated from individuality, but also lets you get like really close to the people at the same time, because you're watching them go through like something so horrific that we could all kind of relate to not ever wanting to experience, or just something that seems so like foreign, but is the reality of so many people over the past 100+ years of our modern civilization.
Because it's like a recreation.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
Yeah. Like all the ones that you mentioned.
A moment of time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of that's Ray Mendoza being the co-director in this one.
Yeah, of course.
We talked about the idea of in Civil War, he kind of put it all together. So he's doing the technical stuff. What's his name is making it cinematic. Garland.
Garland's making it cinematic, yeah.
When you look at the stuff that he's worked on, Act of Valor was, I don't know if y'all remember this one. It was the one with real soldiers. Yeah, he was the technical advisor. Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor, too.
Exactly. You know, some Jurassic World, Mile 22, but eventually from the Terminalist to Civil War.
Safe house,
I think it's him really bringing the technical side of it, because the one biggest thing that I've heard, as Zach was mentioning, it may be boring, but
I don't find it boring.
Right.
I find it procedural. It's procedural.
Hell yeah. That's the exact word, because I've heard people go, finally, this is how they actually use the guns. It is going to be more
like
patient.
Unemotional.
It's just, you know, these people have training and
they're showing it to you on screen.
And when things get hard, you have to default back to those, just like, this is what we do. Regardless of what the situation is right now, this person blocks my back, this person does this, goes in, and we follow these very specific routines.
And it feels like it would actually happen, to actually see an authentic recreation of it. Yeah. That I think a lot of military people are going to be like, that's exactly what it's like.
A lot of moments where it's like somebody's guarding the door and someone's like, where's your smokes? And it's someone else going to grab your smoke instead of their own. Like little things you don't really see in other movies.
That is the other thing that is really interesting about it, is that it's not taking the time to necessarily translate this for civilians. This is a jargon-heavy movie, and a lot of it, like,
you just pick up.
You don't even really know what the words mean until you see them do it. It's like, oh, that must mean something, which again adds that amount of authenticity to it too, where you really, to me, for my money, this feels like the most authentic depiction of combat that I feel like I've seen.
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely.
Thoroughly, If that's what they were going for, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, they got it.
Definitely. You know, ultimately, this is a movie that's leaving you with the message that, like, war is devastating and perhaps a bit pointless, right? Like,
it's pointless.
I find the final.
They're nowhere further. They're nowhere further except they've lost people. That's all that's happened. Yeah. Nothing was achieved. Nothing of value.
And I really do love that ending beat that they just let you sit on.
And the people just walk out
and absorb it.
Yeah.
Crazy shot.
It's very, very effective. I think I might be a little bit lower on this movie than the both of you. I think I ended up going 3.5 stars on it. Are you?
I'm 3.5 to
maybe a bit
4.
higher than that?
I want to see it again, and I'll probably
exactly. Yeah, that's my only thing. Because like in Civil War, I found a lot of the conversations that they had to be what I really attached to for it to be 4 stars.
Right
here, it's like y'all mentioned, they don't really know each other, so a lot of it is that procedural bit, and I do feel that is 4 stars executed to perfection. I don't want to see it again, so is that a half star off?
Yeah. We'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the interesting thing, just comparing this to the rest of Alex Garland's filmography, is he is such a heady filmmaker who loves like really complicated ideas, and this is the most visceral movie that he's ever made.
It is, and I just know that I liked Civil War more every time I've seen it. Like it crept its way onto my top 10 list last year, and I didn't think it would. So I'm interested to see if this is a movie that I kind of go back to and enjoy more every time I see it.
Zach and I were talking about Ex Machina, with it being in 2015. And how like he did that one really well. Are we supposed to believe he got worse as a filmmaker, or is he a filmmaker who was so ahead we haven't caught up to it?
Yeah, the only one I haven't really been fully jive with is Men. And I don't hate it. It's just the only one
Right.
that I'm like,
It makes complete sense. As someone who likes the movie, I would never recommend it.
Yes,
Has he just been more and more void of emotion every movie?
it's what it feels like somehow.
Right? Like even
Yeah.
in Men for sure, Annihilation that's a part of even the movie. Warfare, as we're mentioning.
Yeah.
I feel like the more technical and the better he gets as a filmmaker, the less he cares about like the emotionality of it, if that makes sense. But
But does that end up being the point? Is like the stuff he's putting to screen, like it's
Yeah.
the way that it takes away that emotion and that humanity and those like experiences that actually make
Yeah.
it stronger in the end, because that is the point of Civil War by the end. Is Kaylee Spaney's character, how she starts acting is like
what it
a
drives
loss
you
of
through, yeah.
humanity, like a kind of in a way. It's it's interesting.
This man's like a comedian who he's just looking to make one person laugh now.
Pretty much, yeah. I dig it.